All right, let's dive into one of the most important ideas in our entire digital world. It's something we all rely on every single day, but we probably don't think about it much. See, it's not just about keeping our data secret, it's about making sure that the data we see is actually real.
So let me start with a question for you. What on earth could a 2,000-year-old wax seal possibly have in common with your online banking app? I know, it sounds kind of like the start of a bad joke, but the answer is everything when it comes to cybersecurity. And that answer is trust. Simple as that. See, back in the day, if you got a letter with an unbroken wax seal, you knew no one had messed with it. And it's the exact same principle today. Your bank relies on a digital seal to prove that the numbers you're seeing on your screen haven't been secretly changed. It's all about that unbroken promise. Now, this whole idea of a digital seal is what we're going to unpack. In the world of cybersecurity, this promise, this guarantee, has a specific name: integrity. So let's get into our first section and figure out what that really means.
So, what is integrity? Well, the textbook definition is maintaining the consistency, accuracy, and trustworthiness of data over its entire life cycle. But let's put that in plain English. It's the rock-solid guarantee that your data is what it says it is. Nothing's been added, nothing's been taken away, and no one has messed with it behind the scenes. And this guarantee really stands on three crucial pillars. First up is consistency, meaning the data makes sense, it's not all over the place. Then you have accuracy. Is it correct? Is it the right information? And finally, trustworthiness. Can you actually rely on it? If even one of those pillars gets knocked out, the whole thing comes crashing down.
Okay, so that's what we're aiming for. But how do we actually achieve it? How do we create and check these digital seals? That brings us right to our next section. We're going to open up the toolbox and see what the experts use to get the job done. And inside this toolkit, you basically find two main approaches. On one side, you've got prevention. This is all about playing defense, guarding the seal from the very beginning, stopping anyone from making changes who shouldn't be. On the other side, you have verification. This is about checking the seal after the fact, just to be sure it hasn't been broken. And any good system, well, it's got to have both.
So let's talk about prevention first. Think of things like file permissions and user access controls. They're kind of like the bouncer at a club. They're there to decide who gets in and what they're allowed to do once they're inside. And then you have something like version control, which is an amazing safety net. It literally tracks every single change, so if someone does make a mistake, you can just rewind to a version you know you can trust.
Okay, now for verification. This is where things get really clever. The main tool here is something called hashing. Here's how it works. You take your original data, let's say it's a software file. You run it through this complex mathematical process called an algorithm. And what pops out on the other side is this short, totally unique string of letters and numbers called a hash. Just think of it like a unique digital fingerprint for that one specific file. And here's why that fingerprint is so incredibly powerful. When you download that file, the person who made it also gives you its original hash, its fingerprint. Your computer then calculates a brand new fingerprint from the file you just received. If those two fingerprints match perfectly, you know with mathematical certainty that the file is authentic. Nothing is changed. The seal is unbroken. That data has integrity.
Now, hashing is definitely the big one, but you might hear a couple of other terms thrown around. A checksum is pretty similar, but it's a bit simpler. It's mostly used to catch accidental errors, like if data gets scrambled during a download. And then there's a digital signature. You can think of this as a super-powered hash. It doesn't just verify the data is unchanged, it also proves who sent it. Pretty cool, right?
All these tools, all this effort, it exists for one very simple reason: that digital seal can be broken. So what happens when someone decides to break it on purpose? Well, that's when the stakes get a whole lot higher. And that brings us to our third section: when the seal is broken.
And the word for this is tampering. This isn't just an accident or a glitch. Nope, this is the deliberate, intentional act of altering information. It's a hacker sneaking in to change financial records. It's someone injecting malware into a software update before you download it. It's a malicious attack on the very integrity of the data.
This might all sound super technical, but it's not just some abstract idea for cyber experts. I promise you, you rely on data integrity every single day, probably in more ways than you even realize. So let's talk about why this matters so much to all of us.
Just think about your day for a second. That app you just downloaded, you're trusting its integrity, trusting that it doesn't have malware. When you check your bank account, you're trusting that number is real and accurate. Digital contracts you sign, messages you send on a secure app, all of it. Absolutely all of it depends on that unbroken digital seal to be trustworthy.
And all this leads us to one final, really important thought. We're living in an age of deep fakes, and AI-generated everything. We're telling what's real from what's been tampered with is getting harder and harder every single day. The fight for integrity is more important than it has ever been. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. In this new reality, how are we going to verify our digital seals and protect the trust that holds our entire digital world together?